Alright, tonight we're gonna read about the Tuttle Twins and the Miraculous Pencil. Alright. Ethan and Emily Tuttle had been looking forward to their class field trip for weeks. They love experiencing new things, especially when they got to leave school for the morning. Mrs. Miner, the twins' teacher, had been helping her students understand what an economy is. What do you think is an economy is? What is economy?
Economy is...
What do you think is an economy? What do you understand about economy?
It's
It's about a bunch of millions of people, buying and selling. She taught them that an economy is just a fancy word for lots of people working together to buy and sell things. To learn more about it, Mrs. Miner decided to take the class on a field trip to a place where people make things to sell to others. She even let the students choose where they should go. They came up with several suggestions. A restaurant? A farm? A computer company? And a bakery. Fresh cinnamon rolls sounded great. After a long discussion, the class settled on a different idea. Where do you think they picked to go? Did they went to the farm or the restaurant?
No, they went to the dump.
They decided they would visit a factory. I wonder what kind of factory. Where the workers make things that the students use.
As a pencil.
Such as pens, pencils, notebooks, and rulers. Mrs. Miner hinted that they might even get a souvenir. What a souvenir means?
Why did you say shh?
What do you think is a souvenir means?
Why did you be
Nothing. What do you think is a souvenir?
A souvenir is...
It's like something you can keep to remember.
But why did you say...
Let me finish reading.
Why did you say...
When the bus arrived at the
Why
factory,
did you like this?
the kids were a little disappointed. Oh, why do you think they look disappointed?
But they don't like the dump.
It was nothing like they imagined. One of the kids groaned, "This looks boring. There's no way anything fun happens here." Another complained, "I wish we went to the cinnamon roll bakery instead." "Don't worry, kids," Mrs. Miner said. "The magic happens inside." They all shuffled inside and walked past a large room full of machines. One of the workers waved to them. The kids all stopped and pushed their noses up against the glass to get a better look. "Look at all that paper!" shouted Ethan, pointing through the window at large rolls of paper that looked as big as their school bus. Look how big that paper. It looks like as big as the school bus. "Come on, everybody," said Mrs. Miner. "I bet we'll get a better look at those machines a little later." The students were led to a room where a friendly man greeted them, handing each one of them a pencil. "Welcome, everybody," the man said. "My name is Carl, and I work here. Can all of you do me a favor and hold up the pencil I gave you?" Yeah, they each held up their pencil. Emily stretched hers high into the air, twirling it between her fingers with the hope of being noticed. Here's my question for you as we begin today, said Carl. Do you think the pencil you're holding is easy or hard to make? What do you think? Is a pencil easy to make or hard to make?
Easy. And it's easy, but you know what? Why didn't you want to tell me where a thing they went to?
Well, let's find out. A couple of the kids quickly said, easy. And then everybody else said the same thing, copying the students who had answered first. I think the kids heard you, son. They also think that it's easy to make a pencil. When I'm going to make a bold claim, Carl said as he smiled. That pencil in your hands is actually extremely difficult to make. And surprisingly enough, not a single person on the face of this earth knows how to make one. Ethan and Emily looked at each other with looks of disbelief on their faces. That's impossible, shouted a girl named Jessica. Then how can there be any pencils if nobody knows how to make them? That's a great question, replied Carl. Let me come back to that after we talk a little more. He then turned around and drew a bunch of lines on the whiteboard. What do you think is Carl about to explain? It's about how the pencil is made. Alright. This is kind of like a family tree, which lets us see all of the people who help make us who we are. Our parents, our grandparents, and so on. Look at that pencil in your hands, he said. What are the parts that make up a pencil? Do you know what are the parts in the pencil?
No.
And where did they all come from?
They come from a wood.
Where is the wood come from? What is the pencil's family tree?
The wood comes from the tree, and they chopped down the tree.
Okay.
And then
let me finish reading.
The truck carries the tree.
Wood! Shouted Ethan excitedly. His classmates joined in to provide a list of other pieces. Lead, an eraser, some metal to hold the eraser to the pencil, and some paint. Carl wrote them down. Great! Now I need a volunteer. How about you? He asked, pointing to Emily. I want you to try.
Why did he point to Emily?
Because Emily raised her hands. She wants to answer. How about you? He asked, pointing to Emily. I want you to try
Emily to do it.
And continue this chart. Start with the wood. Where does it come from? Where do you think the wood is come from?
A tree.
Emily stood up and wrote tree. Very good. In one of the circles of the family tree.
Where are you now?
And how does the tree get from the forest to the factory? How do you think the tree get from the forest to the factory? Carl asked.
You get a truck and the truck
Very good.
To the factory.
Very good. Well, some people would have to cut it down, Emily said, and then they would have to put it on a truck. She then wrote saw and truck on the family tree. Let's keep it going, said Carl, as Emily sat down. What materials would a person need to be able to make a truck? What do you think is in the truck? To make a truck, what do you need? Ethan's hand shot up. You would need fuel.
Yeah.
So it could run.
Wait, you need this paper.
And lots of metal.
Wait. You need paper. You need tires. for your ropes
and
some wheat
and rubber for the tires.
And this thingamajig.
You'd also need rope to tie the logs to the truck, he said as Carl wrote them on the board. Does anybody here know how to make rope? Do you know how to make rope?
No.
Carl asked. Nobody raised their hand. Think of all the hemp plants that need to be grown to make it, and the equipment used to water the plants.
Jack and Annie had a rope.
And the machines built to harvest them. See that? That's just the few things Ethan said on how to get the logs from the farm to the factory. Okay. And all of these workers need to eat, right? That's right, we all need to eat. Carl continued.
But why did not, when I read this, I put that on the...
We can't work without eating.
Why did I say, that's how you make the pencil?
All right, come on. Let me finish reading.
Well,
we can't work without eating, so we have to also think of the farmers, the grocery store employees, and the cooks.
Why did I tell you that? I thought that's for the pencil. That's for the...
Well, Carl is talking about who contributed to make the pencil. Well, you said what's in the pencil, you need a wood. But to get the wood, you need the tree. And to get the tree from the farm to the factory, you need people that will cut it. And people can't get in there without food. It's like a chain. It's like grandpa, daddy, and you.
The chain is what? The heater shuttle.
No, I'll come back later. We need all those things to make a pencil? One of the students asked.
You're only 12.
Nope, we need all those things and many more just to get the wood for the pencil, Carl said with a chuckle. The students were amazed. Now they were beginning to understand that making a simple pencil was not so simple at all. Now let's learn about the other parts of the pencil's family tree, Carl said. Carl started a video chat with a smiling woman who waved to the children. This is Mary, everybody. She's in charge of buying the best materials from all over the world for us to use. Wow, where are you, Mary? Asked Emily. Well, I usually work in London, she responded. But today I'm in South Korea to inspect some graphite we want to buy to make pencil lead. What's so special about South Korea? Carl asked her. Why don't we buy it somewhere else? That's an important question, Mary said. We want to sell our pencils at a low price. So we have to find the best materials at the least expensive prices, wherever that might be. This means that people all around the world compete for our business, she said. Mary explained how the graphite they purchase is mined in a large open pit and then heated and compressed in a processing plant. The graphite is then packaged and shipped to another factory to be mixed with clay, wax, and chemicals. Just for this lead, you need all those works. They're dangerous work too, and a lot of people helping each other. I visit many places around the world, buying different materials to make our pencils. The yellow paint, called lacquer, is made from castor oil, which comes from plants grown in India, Mary said. To make our erasers, we buy rapeseed oil from Indonesia and oil from rubber trees grown in Africa. We also use pommies from Italy to make them gritty, so they work better, she added. The ferrule is the small piece of metal that helps secure the eraser to the pencil, Mary explained. We cut them out from sheets of brass we buy from people who mine the zinc and copper ore. They melt the metals, mix them together, and press them into sheets for us to use. Each step in the process requires big machines and many people from all around the world working together, said Carl. The different parts are finally shipped to us, and we put them all together to make a pencil. The kids waved goodbye to Mary as Carl led them to where they could see the factory floor. Ethan craned his neck to better see everything below. He could see the wood pieces being cut, glued, and attached around the long, skinny pieces of graphite. A large machine was also spraying the yellow lacquer onto each of the pencils, and another was attaching the eraser with tiny ferrules. Emily closely inspected every part of the pencil she was holding. It was so interesting to think about all the people who had worked together to make it, and how the different parts came from all over the world.
Oh, wait, just a second more.
After returning to their room, Carl directed everybody's attention to the whiteboard. Look at their chain of how to make the pencil. Look at the pencil tree. It's so much linked to each other. If we were to write a pencil's entire family tree, it would be very, very large. He said. Ethan was trying to remember all the things involved in making a pencil, but there were so many that he lost count and forgot some of them. Remember what you asked earlier, young lady? Carl asked Jessica. You wanted to know how there can be pencils if nobody knows how to make them. Do you know now? I think it's because nobody knows how to make all the different parts of a pencil all by themselves, she replied. That's right, Carl said. If you tried to make a pencil without anyone else helping you, it would be impossible. How could you travel all over the world to get the materials you need without ships or planes? He asked the kids. That's a great point. How would you gather each of the materials without tools and machines? Or put them together without factories? Carl asked. And if you were busy doing all of that, when would you have time to find food to eat or build a home to live in? Carl stretched his arms out to say, that's why it takes millions of people working together. People who don't speak the same language, who practice different religions, who live in different countries, and who will never even meet one another. People all over the world, not knowing, some of them not even knowing that they're helping to make the pencil. You know that? Do all those people even know they're making a pencil? Wondered Ethan aloud. No, they don't, replied Carl. Let's think of it a different way. What type of work would you like to do when you grow up? What you want to be when you grow up? The kids shouted out their answers, including a house builder, a teacher, or stop, a musician.
I said wait. That.
I don't know what is that. A farmer.
That's an astronaut.
An astronaut. Alright, stop. And a scientist. Ethan wanted to be a basketball player and Emily said she wanted to be a doctor. And you wanted to be this guy, an astronaut, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I'm right next to it. All the guys got picked out.
Okay.
Well, who am I? Who am I that guy? Well, who's the first guy?
I don't know. The lugger.
Oh, I know. No. Who's the first guy? First, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth.
Right.
Well, I'm sixth.
Okay. The lugger who cuts down trees for the pencils doesn't know if the wood will be turned into furniture, a house, a pencil, or something else. Carl responded. He may not even like using pencils. The same is true for the doctor who might treat the lugger and his family, the farmer who feeds the doctor, or even the musician who entertains the farmer. He added, almost every job you can think of may actually be helping to make a part of the pencil without the person even realizing it. And that's how it works for everything that's made, right? Emily asked. Not just pencils? Definitely, Carl said. Your clothes, your backpacks, your shoes. Everything you own and use requires many people working together. Remember, added Mrs. Minor, the economy is made up of people buying and selling things. If people tried to make everything on their own, they wouldn't be able to, and life would be very hard. But because we divide up the work into different jobs, each person works on something that others can use, she said. We work together automatically without even really knowing it. There's no boss telling everybody what to do. This is something we call a spontaneous order, and it's the reason why we can have so many wonderful things today, said Mrs. Minor. It's time for you to head home now, said Carl. But before you go, take another look at your new pencil. Millions of people, including me, help make your pencil, but we don't know how you will use it. Will your pencil draw plans for a new invention? Will it make a work of art? Will it help you do your homework or write a letter? The pencil's family tree continues with each of you, and it will continue on and on for as long as you keep making new things with it. Carl waved goodbye to each of the students. I hope you do something great with your pencils, he shouted as they looked back onto the bus. So what did you all learn about today? Asked Donald, the bus driver. Mrs. Minor, with a smile on her face, quickly answered. They all learned how to make pencils. Right, everybody? The kids laughed and Ethan shouted, I don't know how to make a pencil, Mrs. Minor. Nobody does. For the rest of the trip home, Ethan and Emily took turns looking through their backpacks, wondering about how all of the miraculous objects were made. It was like a new world had been opened up to them, imagining the entire family tree of everything they saw. And the end.